Hey, good afternoon, class, and welcome back to week 12 of Introductory Psychology. I think we're reaching the point where we're about 3/4 of the way through the course. We're plowing through the textbook, moving right along. Only a few more weeks left of class, but we still got a lot to cover, still got a lot to do, so don't mail it in on me yet. I'm just kidding, I don't expect any of you to, but anyways, just this is the time to really buckle down and get to work when November hits. It's when things start coming due, and maybe your other classes you're experiencing this too. I know in the classes I'm taking, everything seems to be due in November or right at the beginning of December. So anyways, welcome back. I'm recording this on a Friday afternoon. It's a beautiful, kind of a little dark fall day, but it's still really pretty outside, looking and feeling like fall. Really enjoying this time of year. It's my absolute favorite time of the year. So welcome back to our course. I'm reading through still your discussion posts on personality tests, and so far it seems like you all have a pretty good understanding of the differences between projective and objective tests or self-report tests, and a lot of you have already provided examples of specific tests and when they're used. So I really enjoyed reading this week's discussions and kind of making sure your comprehension was there, and it seems like you guys have it down, this section down, so that's great to hear. So just for this week, we are switching gears and looking at Chapter 11. I think I say this a lot, but it just seems like this. It seems like this chapter especially is one of my favorite chapters. It's Chapter 11. We're going to cover stress, health, and coping. And the reason why this is one of my favorite chapters is because it's so applicable to all of us. All of us have stress. I mean, you literally would not get out of bed every day if you weren't stressed to some degree. We have to be stressed in order to just function. So some stress is okay. In fact, the reason why you're in college is probably because you might be experiencing a certain amount of stress. Like I need to educate myself. I need to get a better job. I need to make more money, et cetera, et cetera. There might be, some stress behind that for what motivates you, and that's okay. But stress is a problem when it becomes chronic, when we are stressed all the time, every day, all the time. In fact, that kind of stress, that chronic stress, is actually very, very toxic for your mental and your physical health. So this chapter is learning about kind of what happens to the body during stress and maybe how to cut out stress. So afterwards, you're going to be able to define what stress is and also different sources of stress. Even things that are positive, even positive life events can cause stress, such as, getting married, having children, moving off to college. These are really big positive life events, but think about those of you who've gotten married, those of you who had children, those of you who can remember maybe your first day of school, going from high school to college. While that's exciting and positive, it's still also very stressful. Vacations, think about, planning a vacation while it's fun and it's exciting, but it's also very stressful. So, their stress can, even if it comes from a positive source, sometimes stress, it comes from all places, it comes in all shapes and sizes. You're also going to look at the impact of stress on the human body. I'm here to tell you that chronic stress is literally toxic for the human body. It unwinds our DNA at the telomeres. It adds weight. It leads to, when we're chronically stressed, we eat more. Our immune system doesn't function as well. We're more likely to be depressed. We're more prone to heart disease, I should say, cardiovascular disease. So there's just so many problems with when we're chronically stressed. So I think that's a very big problem in our society. One that I don't think we're doing a very good job of addressing. Personally, I don't think we are. So by the end of the chapter, you should have a pretty good idea about the direct relationship between your mental health and your actual physical health, your psychology and your physical health. We like to think that mind and body are separate. In the West, we conceptualize these two ideas as separate, but I think that's kind of a silly idea because mind affects body and body affects mind. I mean, our health, our mental and physical health feed off of each other. So if we're psychologically stressed and anxious and worried all the time, that will physically affect your body. So there is a one-to-one connection between body and mind, health, and psychology. So it's a kind of a shorter chapter, but I really think there's a lot to take away from this chapter. So please read through and really, really think about this stuff, reflect on it, and think about how it impacts your own life, how stress might, what kind of stress you might have in your life. So you're going to read this chapter. There is no discussion for this week. I don't want you to worry about a discussion, but there is a response paper for this week. It's one of our second to last response paper. So that's pretty cool if you're kind of getting it, if you're ready to be done with those. We're almost done with those. This week's response paper actually is presented by, I want you to watch a TED Talk that was presented by Oklahoma City's former mayor, Mick Cornett. He actually ran for governor this past year, and he didn't win. He didn't win the Republican side, so he's out. But he was our former mayor of Oklahoma City, and he's part of the reason why the Thunder are here and the MAPS program and all this stuff. But several years ago, Mick Cornett also issued a challenge to the state of Oklahoma, and that was to lose 1 million pounds. Oklahoma City and Tulsa and the state in general, for the longest time, had a pretty bad reputation as being one of the fattest cities in the world. Those most obese cities, Tulsa and Oklahoma were typically at the top of those lists or near the top. So that was kind of a challenge that Mick Cornett took on. And in this TED Talk, he discusses the importance of that challenge and the goals that were set. And, when we talk about stress, eating is directly related to stress in a number of ways. For one, when we're stressed, we're more likely to eat. A lot of people look towards comfort foods when they're stressed. And, stress, again, when we're chronically stressed and we're eating a lot, where do you think, what do we typically eat? We eat bad foods that go right to our stomachs, and to build up into fat and adds extra weight onto the body, which puts more stress on the body. So, I'm not by any means, I'm not trying to say that there is a quota, there's like a perfect weight or anything like that. But I think all of us, anybody in general, humans in general just perform better at when we lose a little weight. When we can change our diets and we can lose some weight, we can cut back some calories, and we live in, especially if we can cut back a lot of those calories that are useless. Sodas and chips and pops and candies and all things like that have zero nutritional value. Those are changes I'm actually trying to make in my lifestyle because I'm 30 now, but I really want to not only live longer, but also live a higher quality of life. So I feel like if I can make changes in my life now, especially dietary and exercise changes, maybe I can save myself some stress in the future. So I really hope maybe after watching this video and listening and reading this chapter, I'm not saying you need to go out and make radical changes in your life, but I hope maybe it makes you reflect and think like, well, what changes are realistically to make? And, maybe it's as simple as, hey, I'm just not going to drink soda every day, or I'm not going to have, I'm going to cut back smoking, or I'm going to drink less alcohol, or, there's a lot of little changes that we can make in our lives that I think could lead to some really profound positive changes that, we may think are really difficult, but maybe it's not so difficult. Anyways, I'm kind of ranting right now. Sorry. So this week, read chapter 11, complete the response paper on the TED Talk about losing 1 million pounds. I'm going to post that here in a moment. And then I wanted to give you a heads up. Next week, I'm going to open exam number 3. And exam number 3 covers chapters 9 through 12. So be on the lookout for that. Next week, you'll have about 9 days to complete it. But I wanted to give you a heads up now so you can start thinking about it. Please email me, respond to this video if you have any questions, if you have any concerns. If you haven't turned in your last response paper, it's due Sunday night. So probably by the time you watch this video, maybe it's already past due. I'm not sure. But anyways, I'm looking forward to reading your response papers on this TED Talk and hearing your interactions with this week's readings and all that. So anyways, hope everyone has a great week, and I'll see you all next week. Take care. Bye.